I took over a retail vacuum store about 6 months ago, and it's been in continuous operation for close to 70 years. And when it began, it was an appliance store and service center for large and small appliances. And a few of the tools and equipment there were holdovers from when all kinds of appliances were serviced. And here's a couple of the interesting gizmos that I found. I believe they were both made by this company, Waage, I guess you'd say. And I think there was somewhere there was information that said that they were based out of Chicago. Of course, I've taken the screws out to examine these more easily, but this one's in much better shape because it was mounted to the wall, and we only ever used it as just a power strip. But of course, it's got a circuit breaker, and this cord is plugged into the power, from the wall. It's got a switch with an indicator light, and it says power on these outlets and safety on these outlets, and it says 55 volts AC. I believe these two outlets were in series, so that you would plug, I guess, two heating elements or something in, so that you could test whatever you were working on at half power. So if there was a dead short, the worst that could happen is your control element or whatever would just go full strength. But inside, since then, somebody modified it to just be basically a 6-outlet power strip. And you can see our little neon thing has a resistor and no insulation on any of these wires. It just relies on the clearance, but obviously not something, I don't see a UL listing on here. I don't think this is something that would be UL approved today. But anyway, so that's that one. This one is in much worse shape. It was also much more often used. We used this. By the way, I worked at this store for starting about 15 years ago, doing, among many other things, servicing vacuums. And this we used as a continuity tester. There were two bulbs. At one time, one of these had a fuse in it, and one of them had a bulb in it. And there were test leads. Here's one of the test leads. And we would just use this as a continuity tester. And we always knew to be careful to not touch the wires with our bare hands, because this was at line voltage, 120 volts. This sat on the bench under the roof exhaust, and I guess that started to leak after a while, and this thing got all rusty, and it never was this bad looking, but even before it started to rust, the receptacle wore out and the ammeter didn't work. We never used any of these functions, whatever these switches do, but I attempted to figure out how this was operated without much success. I guess I just kind of got lost in the circuit diagram, but I was trying to map out exactly how this stuff was connected. Who knows, if how it's connected now is how it always was connected, but it looks like things went through the fuse first in series and then would go to the outlet in one of the test leads. You were always able to use the outlet and the test leads. They did the same thing. And after the outlet started getting loose prongitis, I added an external cord to plug things into so that you could just plug an appliance in and do a continuity test on without having to hold the test leads up to the cord. And I also added the socket from a Hoover convertible to test light bulbs to see if they were any good. But I guess by manipulating these switches, you were able to measure the current draw, because this was once an ammeter. It's long gone. And this neon light always used to light up faintly along with the regular test bulb. And so I guess, I don't know, what would that be? One of these, I think what did I write down? Toggle switch, light switch, bulb and neon, so the bulb and the neon would light at the same time, and then the fuse would protect the entire apparatus here. So I guess the toggle switch would let you turn the ammeter off and on, and the light switch would activate your test leads, or you could shut them off, I suppose, for safety. But anyway, this is kind of similar to what I've seen posted on the internet, the Vacutronic tester. Not made by the same people to my knowledge, but it's a little brown metal box, and it has, I guess, an ammeter and continuity tester. But that one came with a vacuum gauge with a rubber hose and a ball, and on the back cover would have a little chart of all these different early 1920s and 30s vacuums and all their different suction measurements in inches of water. And that was pretty cool. But of course this store had the all-purpose appliance one, because they weren't just a vacuum store. But anyway, I'm not saving this. It's just too far gone. And it was a little dangerous to be continuing to use, because it was line voltage you were testing with. But I wanted to make a video. This I'll save. This is still a perfectly functional power strip. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you.